United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Trustee Gray?
Present.
Trustee Caprio? Absent. Trustee Rogers?
Present.
Trustee Sweet?
Present.
Trustee Nancy Turkey?
Present.
Trustee Variance?
Present.
Mayor Bukic?
Present. Are there any, is there approval of the amendments? Are there any changes to the agenda? I would like to do one. Before this, before the report and communications, we have Representative Durkin here. I would like him to be able to get up and introduce himself. And an election coming up, so no other amendments. Is there a motion to approve the accounts payable for the period of October 27, 17 through November 22nd, 17?
I so move.
Trustee Sweet.
A second.
Trustee Rogers. Discussion. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Variance?
Aye.
Trustee Nancy Turkey?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the accounts payable for the period of November 23rd, 2017 through December 28th, 2017?
So moved.
Trustee Gray.
Second.
Trustee Variance. Discussion. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Trustee Nancy Turkey?
Aye.
Trustee Variance?
Aye.
Next is reports and communication. Oh. I didn't see you get up there.
I wasn't sure if I was
That's
up
all
or
right.
not,
You're up now, so I don't want to
Thank you.
up either.
Mayor, good to see you, and Merry Christmas to everybody here from the village, and also the administrators, and also the village board members. My name is Jim Durkin. I'm the state representative from this area. I live in Western Springs, but it goes way north. I just want to give you a little perspective of what I do and how I travel a lot, but it's Western Springs, LaGrange, Indian Park, Burr Ridge, Willowbrook, portions of Darien, Downers Grove, Lamont, Homer, Glen, and a few other things thrown in there as well. So, but for the last 3 years, we've been in non-stop session. So when we finished session last November, we finally we took a break. So this is the first opportunity I've had in in many months, I would say in a couple of years, to come out and just say hello to municipalities and also local boards. So it's great to be here, and I just wanted to just say hello. You probably put a face with a name. Not that you probably haven't noticed anything in the mailbox recently, but it's that time of the year. But you probably are aware we did get a budget passed this year. It wasn't a budget that I supported. There were things in it that do affect you. Some things are not really good, and I'm not happy about it. But the fact is, it is what it is. There was a cut in the local LGDF, Local Government Distribution Fund, of one-time hit of about 10%. Something which I have not supported in the past. I just want you to know that. And as a matter of fact, you've done a fantastic job through the Illinois Municipal League of lobbying me day in and day out in Springfield against LGDF cuts. And our caucus has been consistent with that and not supporting it, because we know that you have limited resources to be able to operate with. We know that it's important for you to be able to have this money, to have some flexibility in the way in which you run your shop. Now, we're going to go back in and there'll probably be another push next year when we begin this process again of having a budget. But before I get into that, just remember that the budget that was passed this past year, it was a budget with a tax increase. I couldn't support it because there were no reforms in it, but the fact is it was still $1.7 billion out of balance. You don't have the luxury, Mr. Mayor, all of you, to be able to pass unbalanced budgets on an annual basis. It's something which we do on a regular basis down in Springfield, and that is what I'm fighting against, and I'll be campaigning against, and I don't want to get political here, but the fact is we have unpaid bills that keep growing and growing because of the unbalanced nature of budgets that continue to get passed. So we're going to we go back in the third week of January, and we're going to have our challenges ahead of us. I'm in the minority party, but the fact is There has been at least some recognition by the majority party that the House Republicans do have a meaningful role in the operations of state government. They're out of the supermajority. They need participation from the House Republicans to be able to get any type of major initiative done. Now, we will go back down, and there will be another push to be able to, let's find additional revenues in which we could use to solve our budget problems, as opposed to being responsible, cutting in areas where we should cut, making investments in areas where we should make investments. It's very simple. But one thing that we also need to reemphasize is that we have X amount of dollars that we bring in on an annual basis, in which are projected to us sometime by the middle of January. Now, the whole idea about having a balanced budget is that we are going to budget and we are going to spend as much as what we bring in. It's a simple concept, and that is what my caucus and also the governor and the Senate Republicans will be standing for, and we'll make those comments, and I'll be very clear about that in the upcoming months. But know full well that if there is going to be another discussion about any type of adjustment with LGDF, one, I will oppose it. Two, if the majority party is going to insist upon it, the only way that a Republican will consider voting for it, if there will be offsets on mandate relief, to ensure that there is going to be at least what we call it a wash, so to speak, that you will be able to have reductions in the requirements that are incorporated, that are also established by statute upon you, which really, which we've heard over the years and years and years as these unfunded mandates. Everybody's got a different one, but the fact is, to me, that's the only solution, the only way in which you're going to be able to manage the issue of the local government distribution fund. Now, the other thing that I felt that was really unfortunate is that the Department of Revenue took 2% of processing costs out of the local sales tax. And we are very much going to ensure that that is going to be a one-time assessment. It's not fair, it's not right. Again, it's an attack on local government. And where that concept came from, some bureaucrat probably in the Department of Revenue. And it made its way into an imperfect budget. So there are a lot of things in which we have to get done. We still have a significant portion of bills that haven't been paid by the state of Illinois. I'm glad to say that we have reduced it by 50%. We still have a large $6 to $7 billion of unpaid bills to anybody who does work for the state of Illinois. And that's a priority for myself and the governor. But also, you can't do that until you address the fiscal instability of Springfield, about how we spend your money and manage the money of the state of Illinois, when there's continuing recognition or lack thereof recognition of having a balanced budget. So those are the priorities myself. I don't know that my colleagues in the Senate and the governor have. The governor will have to give his State of the State address and also his budget address in the upcoming months. But I know that you will be looking at it with great attention, because everything's basically on the table when it shouldn't be. We should be solving our problems internally, as opposed to continually asking for Illinoisans, our small businessmen and women, our major employers, and also local governments to make greater sacrifices. It's just not fair. But those are the political realities that I have to live with in Springfield. But know that there are people down there that are willing to listen. And they're always, myself is one, and matter of fact, that's one of the criticisms I get, is I have too many people come into my office. But the fact is, I will listen to anybody, particularly when they want to drive 3 hours down I-55 and come visit me. I will give them the time of day. But I will just say this, there's a few good things about this region, and I think you should be proud of what's going on in Will County, is that since 2001, Will County has added 76,000 private sector jobs. 40 new businesses opened up in 2017 with 6,200 new jobs and approximately $900 million of investment. So you have things to be proud of in this part of the state. There's other areas in the state that cannot say that. But I will just say that you guys do a good job. You operate and you work with a very, very tight budget, and also you're very responsible with your finances. So I wish that we could learn lessons from what you do and translate that down to Springfield, but sometimes it doesn't work. Now, I will say that there was one good moment in Springfield history last summer when we actually agreed on something that was in our public education funding bill. And that's when all 4 legislative leaders and the governor actually rolled up their sleeves and went to work and got something done. It was the right thing. It was, on balance, a good thing for the state of Illinois, for every child in public education, but also those who prefer an option, which we put in legislation for the first time. So, so those are some of the things that we have addressed over the past year. I wish that things were more efficient. I think Illinois would be better if we worked in a bipartisan manner, and that's what I preach. I tell the speaker that I will work with you on every major issue as long as you respect the priorities of the minority party. And sometimes it gets through, sometimes it doesn't. But know that there are many people down in Springfield who come from local government who do understand the challenges that you face. I came from local government from the school board back in the early 1990s. So I understand that you have to pass a budget and revenues have to meet spending, and you go over that, then you have to be held accountable to your citizens and the people that elect you. So again, I appreciate the work you do. Sometimes it's a thankless job being an elected official in local government, but know that many of us in Springfield came from these positions and appreciate what you do. So I'm going to be making other visits within the district because, like I said, this is the first time in 3 years we've had an extended break, and that's only been for a few weeks. So we're going back down in the end of January, but Mayor and the rest of the board members come visit me sometimes, but you know where to find me. My office is in Burr Ridge, and we're here to help. Sometimes we can't get everything done, but the fact is we will try, and that's what I offer to you. So with that, I want to thank you for this opportunity and wish everybody a very happy New Year, and know that we're here to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. I appreciate it too. Keep up the good fight. We got to keep our sales tax since we survive on it.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
won't take those. In fact, I'll buy something on the way out, okay?
Thanks, Al. Okay, reports and communications from mayor and other officers. This December, the village made its final payment to the Homer Square sales tax sharing incentive agreement that began in 2002 with the annexation of nearly 17-acre shopping center, which is now anchored by Jewel Osco at 143rd Street, Bell Road. After the final payment, the village will realize $135,500 savings. New Year's, Village Hall will be closed on Monday, January 1st and Tuesday, January 2nd in observance of the New Year's. We hope that you and your family have a happy and safe New Year. Normal business hours will resume on Wednesday, January 3rd. Everyone drive straight, and hopefully everyone has a very happy and prosperous New Year. Start down with Trustee Stuis.
No report this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Trustee Rogers.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Trustee Variance.
No report this evening, Mayor.
Thank you. Trustee Knightsky-Drake.
No report.
Thank you. Trustee Gray.
I have no report, Mayor, but I would like to wish everybody a happy New Year, safe and prosperous year for everybody, and that's it.
Thank you. Village Treasurer.
Thanks, Mayor. I have the Treasurer's Report of Cash and Investments at November 30th, 2017. It's the 7th month of our fiscal year. It shows the general fund with a balance of $5,602,260.49. The special event fund has a balance of $66,460.60. The environment fund has a balance of $80,547.38. The motor fuel tax fund had a balance of $2,940,231.22. Park and Recreation Fund had a balance of $3,446,650.70. The Debt Service Fund had a balance of $3,318,608.59. The Capital Project Fund had a cash and investment balance of $1,071,648.82. The EAB Tree Replacement Fund had a balance of $356,533.71. The last fund, the Capital Project Bond Fund, had a balance of $14,835,926.86 for a grand total, all funds, $31,718,868.37. And I'd like to wish the board a very happy, healthy, and safe New Year also.
Thank you, John. You too. Village Clerk.
No report.
Village Attorney.
No report, Your Honor.
Public Safety.
No report.
Village Manager.
No report, Mayor.
Public comment. Bill Musselman? Muselman?
You did it right the first time,
Okay.
just like the applesauce. My name is Bill Musselman. I live at 13830 South Rathole Trail, and I'm here to represent my neighbors that live behind the Illinois American Water Treatment Plant. I'm here to basically open the communications between the village and the people that live in the surrounding area around the treatment plant for this expansion. It's really not expansion because they're supposed to stay within an existing fence line. And if you go through the meeting minutes from October 20th, 2016, they went for rezoning, and then they came in front of your board. It was all approved. And it talks about construction fences, that we had no communication with any homeowner association because we don't have them there. But I had stated that Mr. Musselman would be willing to put together a committee and talk to the building department and also the Illinois American Water and communicate through this whole process of what was going to be going on in our backyards. So there's not a lot to say. If you go back to these meeting minutes and read them, it even says that Mr. Schwartz stated that Mr. Mike Salmowitz, is that his name? The Development Services Director will sit down with them and discuss any construction fences. Nobody has contacted us since last Wednesday when there was a planning meeting for Thursday. So really 24 hours in advance that there was going to be an 8-foot fence going up behind that. So maybe because of the building engineers, not sure, but we sure would like to be involved with the expansion of this plant. When I moved there 33 years ago, I had 100 feet behind my property. There was supposed to be easement that they couldn't expand the plant at that point, and it did move back 50 feet, so now I have 50 feet of easement behind me, and they're taking away that 50 feet of easement. If they knock down existing fences, they're going to tear out approximately 20 to 30 trees, and it's going to cut off the avenue for wildlife that comes through Chickasaw Hills. There's deers, all that stuff that come from the golf course. So I just want to be on the record that we're going to be contacting the village and the building department to try to sit down and talk to everybody. I think the planning commission went last Thursday, was a little upset because Illinois American Water has not reached out to us in 14 months. So we're reaching out to you guys and the building department at this point. We probably have 10 to 15 families around there that are willing to get together in a committee and work with us. So that's it. Just want to put your opinion right now.
All right. Well, if Mr. Baber and yourself and myself will sit down and figure out what we can
Sure.
do.
My cell phone numbers, I'm sure.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor.
Just as a summary, there hasn't been any construction on the site. They were still going through the permit process, but we'd be happy to coordinate meetings with the IEW group and the residents.
Can I respond to that? There has been construction on the site already. The gate is cut in,
Demolition, I apologize.
and
Demolition.
there's temporary electric put outside, so they're moving it. I don't know if permits have been issued yet or not, but there's transformer and electric outside the fence already.
Did we approve the permits?
We've partially approved some portions of the permit, but I think it started.
Mr. Musselman, we'll give you a call and get something set up. Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's it for public comment. Legislation and action items. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 17-070, an ordinance granting a variance to reduce the minimum lot frontage for property located in the E2 single-family rural residential district from 270 feet to 0 feet? Attachment 1, Table 1B, site and structure bulk requirements for residential districts of Chapter 220 zoning of the Code of the Village of Homer, Glen for certain real property known as PIN number 16-05-230-300-043-0000 in Homer, Glen, Illinois, Marsaba. Case number HG 1725V.
So moved.
That was trustee Gray.
Variance.
Varian.
Second.
That's trustee Gray. Discussion?
I have a couple of questions, Mayor. When this came before the board in 2005, at that time, it was for frontage, a reduction of 180 feet to 0. Now it's 270, so I was just kind of curious about that.
Right, excuse me, that's because at the time, the zoning regulations said that the minimum lot frontage for that zoning district were 180 feet. Those zoning regulations were changed around 2005, 2006. Staff attempted to find the ordinance, including those changes, so that we could provide that to you as part of the staff report. We couldn't track down, it was a part of an exhibit in the ordinance that gave the actual line item regarding the change from 180 to 270 for this district. We couldn't find the exhibit, it wasn't actually attached to the ordinance for whatever reason. So it's our assumption that at the time it was 180 feet for the E2 rural residential district, and now it's 270.
And at that time, and I'm not sure, because I don't see it written into the motion, I don't know if it needs to be written into the motion, but I believe it was discussed previously that also they would, I think you're the petition, okay, that they would, the emergency vehicles, they would provide a turnaround on that property. Could you give us an explanation of that? Because I know it's a narrow, it's a...
Yeah, good evening. My name is Lyman Teeman. I'm the attorney for the applicants. When we were up before the Planning Commission, and actually I was present back in 2005 also when this originally came up. We're at the very end of a long road that comes in off of Parker Road, goes east for about a quarter of a mile, and then goes north for about a quarter of a mile. We're at the very end. And as a condition in 2005, and also as a condition when we were before your Planning Commission meeting a couple weeks ago, we have agreed in working with the fire department to provide kind of a hammerhead, pork chop, turnaround configuration on our property for emergency vehicles that have to go up, turn around and come back out on that road. That was one of the conditions. We agreed to that at the Planning Commission. We agreed to that this evening. The other condition on there was that we understand that when we construct our home, that road is not a paved road like your typical city streets. It's primarily gravel. We are in a position that when construction is completed, or even during the course of construction if necessary, to come back, regrade, and fix up that road to bring it back to its condition that existed prior to construction. We understand we're going to have concrete trucks and other vehicles coming along that road, and there may be damage depending on weather conditions, and it is our intention to restore that as soon as the construction is completed.
And you're agreeing to those conditions?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Does that have to be into the motion?
I thought it was in the resolution that appeared before the Planning Commission. I don't know if they put it in the one this evening. Is it in there, Kyle?
No, it's not.
So we should keep that as a condition.
Yes.
We should incorporate this condition.
Yes. So, do I reread the...
Well, no, trustee Varian has to take back his, and trustee Gray has to take back his motion.
Yeah, they can amend it to incorporate this.
Oh, okay, that's easy to do.
Well, then, the amended motion would be just to keep what was in the original variance in place.
Yes, I would amend my motion to include the conditions of the original ordinance in this ordinance.
The original variance.
The original variance in this ordinance.
And I'll second it.
Okay. Any other discussion?
The only thing I wanted to mention was, will the other property owners in this map have to go through the same process? Because there are a lot of these that are, I mean, the issue here is that there's no frontage on the main road, right, on an actual road?
None of the properties along that road, except for the ones, the one immediately out on Parker Road, none of the other ones have frontage on a dedicated road.
Right.
It's all on a private easement. That easement was created back in I think originally in 1960, and it was amended in 1964. And about that time is when all these parcels were divided out. That configuration would never be allowed today with the county or Homer Glen or anyone else, but it does exist, and it was created back in the early 60s. So the only property that conforms and has frontage on a dedicated road is the first parcel coming in off of Parker.
Right.
Everybody else has zero frontage on a dedicated road.
Right, I appreciate that. It was kind of an open-ended question more to the village staff to say, will this be an issue down the road, and is there a way that we can avoid everybody having to go before the planning commission through public hearings and things of that nature?
That's a good question. We'd have to
I
investigate.
mean, we have a lot of these deep lots in big parcels of property in our village that are served like this.
It depends on the variance. I believe there's a setback variance on this, and I'm not sure you could do a village-wide blanket overlay, if you will, for lots, so you almost have to take it on a case-by-case basis. I think the village has been understanding when these cases come up, but sometimes you do have to kind of dot the i's and cross the t's on these individual cases.
Any other questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers? Aye. Trustee Turkey?
Aye.
Trustee Variance?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 17071, an ordinance granting a special use permit for an automobile rental agency in C3 General Business District, attachment 2, J2A, permitted in special uses for non-residential districts, chapter 220 zoning of the Code of Village of Homer Glen, for 13030 West 159th Street, Homer Glen, Illinois, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, case number HG1728S.
So moved.
Trustee Gray,
Second.
Trustee Varian, discussion?
I'd like to add to this. I've spoken with Kyle and Manager Mertens regarding the one portion of the one portion of it says that if there is not enough parking at the firm address where Enterprise will be located, that they can park at two other parcels that are owned by Danbridge. And I didn't really care for that because, you know, if Danbridge decided to sell those other two parcels of property or something, then the condition wasn't necessarily tied to that Enterprise could continue to park there. So then that overflow parking, if it did exist, would come back to the firm address where Enterprise is going to be and could cause a future problem. So I asked them to look into that, and I believe they came up with a creative solution that I'd like to add as an amendment to this. So maybe they can tell you what that creative solution is.
Yeah, the suggestion is to do a cross-parking agreement for all of the Danbridge properties. This overflow parking is just on peak days, peak holiday days, where they have a spike in car storage. So it's not like it's a day-to-day use. The day-to-day use, I believe, is 2 to 5 vehicles, which fits on the current property. And then on days like the 4th of July or key holidays, they have a spike. So the thought would be create a cross-parking agreement between the Danbridge properties. That way, in case one of the properties in the future gets sold, they still have coverage that they can use off-site storage.
Absolutely fine with me.
So do I need to add that into the motion?
Yes.
So I would like to amend my motion to add the cross-parking, help me?
Cross-parking agreement for all 3 Danbridge properties.
For all 3 properties.
Okay. Any other?
That would sound.
And we did check with the attorney, we also checked with Danbridge, and their support of that concept.
Okay.
I have a question. On those other properties, the 15822 and the 15806, are those active? Is that Danbridge businesses there, or do they rent it to somebody? Is there an active business there?
There are active businesses there owned by Danbridge. One of them is a standalone building, and then another, I believe they have a tenant space amongst maybe 2 or 3 others.
They own improvements for them.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Speaks?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers? Aye. Trustee Variance?
Aye.
Trustee Turkey? Aye. Trustee Gray?
Aye.
You do have it, you've got the approval, and I know how Enterprise works with the cars, and most of the time, the parking lot is not full because you have them all out on rent.
Correct.
So I don't think there will be an issue, but.
Well, that was the reason I showed up, to make sure that any concern with the parking was addressed. I mean, down in Lockport, similar size location, we're expecting, we have 8 dedicated parking spaces in the strip center. That has not caused an issue to date. So we're hopeful that the 5 spaces are plenty. We've got overflow as a backup plan. And in the future, if we grow to be a large location, we'll be looking for a relocation, hopefully in Homer Glen. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Happy New Year.
Same to you. Next is resolution number 17-009, approving a reduction from the LLC for the Evlyn's Gate subdivision. Is there a motion to approve resolution number 17-009, a resolution approving a reduction in the amount of $92,355.99 from the $204,084.09 letter of credit for the Evlyn's Gate subdivision. It is understood that approval of this reduction will result in $111,728.10 remaining in the LLC. Do I have a first?
So moved.
Trustee Gray. Do I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Gray, discussion.
Just wondering, when do we start doing some of these things? We talked about this back over a year ago. When is he going to start doing this stuff? When is he going to finish the signage? And you go through there and it still looks like it's not done. I mean, is there a timeline? Is there a line in the sand here?
The developer feels he's completed most of the items. We do know that there's some missing signage and some cleanup. There hasn't been a timeline put out for the developer, but if the board wishes, we can try to get a little bit more aggressive. I think the developer is working a lot around what's selling, and as he finishes up some things.
Well, we've gone out there and checked for some of this?
Yes. Yeah, there's definitely some miscellaneous signage that is missing. There's on some of the vacant lots, there's some backfill behind the curbs that haven't been complete. Things of that nature. The main infrastructure has been completed this time last year. We completed the final resurfacing on the roads, the curb replacements, finished the bike path. This season, he's definitely moving a little slower, but he completed the analysis on the stormwater detention. That was the next big issue in our area. So those all meet the capacity they need. So right now, it's a lot of the smaller cleanup ones. So I would concur that it's slower. This letter of credit actually ties to the main Evlyn, which is the large single-family home developments. There's a lot of vacant lots in that. That's been a little bit slower getting going. The Evlyn's Gate North, or the vertical townhomes, those are almost complete. We don't actually have a letter of credit on those. So it's part of it is just the momentum of getting that going. So, but we can definitely try to push the developer and draw the line in the sand.
Do you want to set up a date now?
I would like to, and a little history to this is, this came up maybe 2 months ago because the stop signs weren't in, and I'm like, how do we not have the stop signs in yet? So, okay, you ask them and then you put it in, but there's still other signage and things that are missing out there, and and I understand it's a money issue too, but when you drive through there, it doesn't look finished. So as a home builder, and I only speak for myself, if I'm driving through there, I'm like, I don't want to move here. It looks like it's unfinished, kind of abandoned. So I look at it as the other ways. You know, we draw a line in the sand and we say, hey, you have until June to get this stuff done, and make it look finished, make it look more desirable. You know, just driving through there, it's, you know, the signage is just a small part of what really needs to be done right there.
I asked the same question, not the same question of Mike, but I'd asked why this reduction? Because coming down to $111,000, $100,000 can go very quickly. We all know that, especially in development. And you had said that Mike Salamovich has been out there and verified that a lot of the sort. Mike gave me a sheet that showed what was outstanding, I believe, was last year when it was reduced from $499,000 down where it's currently, or at $302,000. Now we're on this down even further. And you had said that the only things left to be done was about $86,000 worth of work. And again, that might seem like a lot of money. I know that can go very quickly. So I have not been there since the park dedication. So I don't really know what. I have not been through there. Have you been through there recently?
Yeah, we went through their public safety because of the missing signage, and you know, I love the development. You know, I love the townhouse area. I love the new park. I just think that we need to draw a line in the sand with this and get it done.
We definitely do.
Well, we can do that.
I'm not saying.
I would agree with that. I just want to make sure there's enough money left on the table to do what needs to be done. And I would verify.
That's not a lot of money when you look at it. I've done seed blankets and I've done backfill, and leaving them with $100,000, I just don't know. I don't want them coming back and saying I don't have money, and we would just give them $100,000 back. $200,000, we could get this done. You know, you could do the. Well, I don't want to say that because I haven't measured out how much of this seed blanket and things, but.
The only reason I'd be willing to go to 111 today is because he does not have an LLC on the north portion. And so he is kind of playing with us in accommodating both subdivisions at the same time. So I would be comfortable with saying I'd be supportive of reducing down to 111 as long as we know that a firm punch list will be done by middle of 2018.
Why don't we go for June 1st, 2018? He's got 2 months of springtime already in there.
We can let the developer have one.
I'll make a phone call. I just want to make sure it's done. Any other questions?
But I don't know, do we feel comfortable with what's left in there? As far as, I mean, is he asking for this? Is it something we're just giving to him?
He's asking for it. He believes actually.
And the reason, what is he going to do with that? Is he going to do the repairs? Is he doing that for more? Did he say the reason?
The developer actually believes that it's complete, and we pointed out areas that we believe he's not, and that's why we're holding back the balance. Normally, if it's 100% complete, you'd be releasing the letter of credit. We do not believe that he's finalized all of it.
Okay.
I mean, if you're not comfortable with it, hold off.
Well, if he needs something to do some of the repairs, yeah, I can see the point.
Yeah.
Mike's.
And he's stuck to everything he told us he did.
Correct. So Mike Salamovich has reviewed, he's done field inspections. He realizes there's open items. He's gone through this list and is comfortable with the dollars that are remaining. He's the one that came up with the numbers off of this list. A lot of what is open is what I would classify as more cosmetic. There's definitely a cost to it. But the main infrastructure items were the roads and the stormwater sewer systems. Those are the main things that we were worried about. Not that backfilling behind curbs or making sure that, you know, the stormwater drain, you know, they're clean. Those are important. And just to give you an example, in the original list, there's $59,000 held back for cleaning manholes, adjustments of manholes, frames and grates, installing benches. The vast majority of that we believe is in, but it needs to be verified. There's also $27,000 in for backfilling of curbs, removing dirt stockpiles, double checking ADA domes. Those are the things at the edge of sidewalks. Just to use that, the developer believes those are in. we believe that it would be a different status, so we're holding back that money. Plus, there's about 27,000 of miscellaneous for signage and other things that could possibly handle. So I think we're comfortable on that there's been a good faith effort. It has been slow, and it has been slow, quite frankly, for the last 10 plus years. So we're trying to show a good faith effort of the things that he has done and leaving enough space for what we still feel we need covered. So,
And I will add to that, when we asked for the stop signs to be installed, they were installed very quickly, within 2 days.
he does need pride. He does need pride.
Mike's punch list was in the neighborhood of $86,000. That's what.
Yeah, so that's actually the developer plus those miscellaneous. We didn't go out and price out every individual little sign. There's things like, there's turnarounds, you need signage for that, and things like that. So the main signage is up, street signage is up, but there's definitely miscellaneous things that need to be completed.
And we're comfortable with the 111.
That's the number that it came up with, yes. So if the board's not comfortable, you could always table it and postpone it. Mike's not here, so if you want to hear from him, we could definitely table it. So it's up to the board.
Yes, it is.
I'm fine with it.
I'm going to ask to abstain from the conversation.
All right. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Variance?
Aye.
Trustee Maxey-Turkey is abstaining. Trustee Suisse? Aye. And Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there any old business? Is there any new business? Is there a motion to adjourn? Trustee Gray?
I'll second.
Trustee Suisse? Motion carried. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Any developers?
Well, no, I agree with what Beth is saying, that, you know, that when you say that, you know, build this and we'll get a hotel, I mean, one of Tria's lines says that one of the things that we're going to study is, if we put this here, will a hotel want to locate here, or more likely, or will they rather go in Lockport or in Wharton? I mean, it says it right in one of these, I'm trying to find the bullet point, but it was right in there. So it's kind of like when Tinley did it, they built the World, which was you know, it was the old Poplar Creek up in Barrington. Right. You know, I drove there from Oak Lawn and Burbank when I was a kid. It was halfway across the world, but it drew people from that far and wide. So hotels naturally located near there because they understood that.
Right.
And so when Tinley did something like that with the World, they got the hotels. Then after that, you can ligature out into things like this, saying, all right, now how can we broaden our base and use these hotels when there's not a concert in town? So to me, looking at this, first of all, looking at this, the TRIA impact study is, if you're going to even consider it, you have to go to the high end of it, because this Johnson Consulting data is pulled out of the yellow pages and off Google, I think. I mean, it's just not reliable enough to say that that's what we're going to base everything off of.
Yeah, we actually found out the prices of everything before they even came to us. So I didn't like the study at all, but it's done.
I think that goes back to when you put a survey out and you don't like the results.
So let me just back everybody up to the thought process. So the thought process is if the village wanted to move forward with funding all or even some of a concept like this, normally, if it was a developer, normally the developer, the first thing they would do is actually have a site plan specific to that location. That costs money. Is that something that this group is even interested in doing? And then, you know, putting some data behind it. If they build it, they will come. Because if you're going to get out there and talk about funding some or all of a certain concept, it's helpful to have something beyond just a feasibility study. Those are just steps that you would normally take if you were interested in doing those things.
Right, so but by agreeing to saying, okay, I'm all right with doing the 40,000, you're agreeing to basically say, I'm okay to go bond out $7.5 million, $12 million of the village money to build something that our residents cannot use.
No one said the residents was use it.
How are they gonna use it?
The same way everybody else does. Right now, the people that are doing the baseball said, well, we need 8 fields. We plan on putting 16 in the first place. Never down to 12. So they still would be able to use it. No different than anybody else.
So you're gonna say, we're gonna build the 12 fields, but no matter what, the residents get these 4.
It's down to 8.
Huh?
It's down to 8.
It's down to 8 right now is what we're gonna start because that's
So
where
the
we're at.
residents get how
But
many
not based on
dedicated to
anything
them?
in this report.
Because they're gonna ask that. How many are ours and how many are you guys going to, like, market out to people? I mean, that's a big question. If I'm, as somebody who doesn't have kids even, I look at it and go, how do you spend that kind of money when it's not for the residents to
It
use?
is, here, the whole purpose of a complex is not really so much for the residents as it is for bringing in money to the village. That's how we take care of it. Again, like the sales tax and the property tax, it goes to the village. It helps pay for everything else that we can pay for. With a question for the recreation that was on there, same thing. If we do it, we have to bond out for it. So, and we're gonna have to charge them. This isn't gonna cost them anything, hopefully.
But to say that you bond out for a Parks and Recreation Department or a facility, that goes much further than this, I think, because that helps to stabilize our property values in the long run. It helps to sell your house in the long run. It helps to promote the village in the long run.
And attract people in because they're like, okay, they do have a rec center where I can take my kids swimming into the pool. Or they do have, that this isn't like, let's move there because they have 8 baseball fields. Well, first of all, that's baseball. If you have all girls, forget it. You don't really care anyway.
Women's softball is the biggest thing out there. So it takes good care of women.
If you have a kid that doesn't hold the bat, let's put it that way. Well, means nothing to you.
It's not just baseball.
Can you tell us, so you started to say that Silver Cross told you something about
So it's not too much from 1 million or 2 million or 3 million. You said that's for $250,000.
So now we can find even more people that want to donate 100,000. Because it's donating, it's not investing. You're not an investor. You're donating.
Well, you had mentioned in one meeting that have people invest.
No, this is when I don't want to keep putting that in my mouth because that was a scenario that I said, hey, you're doing this. Why don't you just tell Jamie Patch, put together a marketing thing and run around and try to market it and sell this to people. But I don't know how you're going to do that when we don't have land to even market it on. So you go back to that too. We don't have the land to put it on. So how do you even put together a marketing package? Unless you say, okay, we're going to market it on the back of Heritage Park and they get 12 acres and we're going to run around to people who want this, like I don't even know the names of the baseball, the Sparks and the Flame Balls or whatever. So you guys want to build here? I mean, it's an option. That's not going to happen. So.
That's not going to happen there.
I'm just putting out scenarios of if you had land that
you're making a joke out of it. It's not a joke.
I'm not saying it's a joke. We don't own any land to do this.
We don't own the land, but you know what? No one's ever told me to go out and see if I can market it. Everyone told me don't do anything, so that's why I haven't done anything. We have a guy that we've talked to about the land, but I can't go to him to ask him what we can and what we cannot do, because I don't have an answer from you guys. I'm not gonna go talk to somebody. If you guys say, here, okay, let's do this study. Let's make sure this is gonna work. Because we wanna cover every base before we go out there and tell everybody. If we can find out all the information, and then you give me an opportunity to go sit down with the landowner and see if we work something out. But every time I try to talk to somebody, they ask me questions that I can't answer.
Like what?
I can't answer.
Has the landowner asked you any of these questions?
Who? About what we're doing? He wants to know.
Has he asked you any of these? That would, not in any meeting I've been in, and you know we've been in 4 or 5.
Well, we did talk to him about the property, and we still couldn't tell him everything.
No, I'm saying, but none of this changes any meeting I've been in with the landowner. None of this does. And that's my overriding point. George, you know I have admired the vision on this from the beginning, and we're on 2.5 years at this point. I've absolutely admired it, and I've been supportive for all the things you started this topic with, for all the things that could potentially be written about. I've been supportive. I think we have spent so much time now with really no closer. Remember, when we first talked about this, and we brought in some people from South End Convention and other things, it was a project that wasn't going to cost the village any money, right? That was the first one. Then it got to, well, that's not really, we can't find someone to come in and do a sum of money that it would take as a donation. That turned out wasn't the case, right? Okay. And so then we went to, okay, what if the village puts in half? What if we go and bond out and take most of our bonding authority and go put it on this project and half the project, okay? The study still says the other half of that has to be essentially a donation. Because if it's a for-profit entity, on the other half of that, the numbers don't work. And so now for the better part of the last year, and we've had this feasibility study for almost a year, it's now been trying to find some combination, whether a single person or some combination, and you've been completely creative in your thinking, which again, I admire. We've been through, and I know, I've been to 90% of those meetings we've talked to more than 4 or 5 people. We've talked to a lot of people. I don't know a mayor around us that doesn't know about Homer Glen and looking at this project. So we've talked to a lot of people. There has been no movement on getting the other half of that money in, and we've had lots of those conversations with lots of people. And they've been creative, right? But not one of them to this minute has come up with $1. Everybody says, if you build it, fantastic. We don't have the ability to build it ourselves. We just don't. And so you need a donor or some combination of it. If you're now going from looking for somebody for $7.5 million to then $5 million to then $4 million, and now we're down to $250,000. To get the 7.5, you need 30 people to donate $250,000. We don't, after 2 years of this, we don't have one person, maybe one, right? And we're not even sure about that would be a sum that even makes this close to feasible in my mind. So for someone that's been supportive of this for 2 years and spent not nearly as much time as you have, but a lot of time in these meetings, this is not I think this is a great idea. It's not feasible at this point because we've tried. At the same time, I think there's other projects like a park we're sitting on that we still aren't sure how we're going to pay to develop the entire project. After 2 years, I'd rather see us refocus on the things that we know are feasible and that we need to pay for. And that starts with Heritage Park here. And that's where I'd rather turn this focus now. And to Beth and Keith's point, I disagree on 159. I think when you say what's been there, Route 30 was similar 10 years ago, right? And the boom in New Lenox and Frankfurt has been after Route 30 was widened. And that's what's going to occur on 159. So that doesn't mean, again, I've not been opposed to this project. I think it's been a great idea from the beginning. I think it's run its course, and we've gotten no closer to making it a reality. And I personally don't want to spend any more time going down this path. I'd rather take the same passion and revenue streams and look at finishing Heritage Park in 2 years instead of the next 8, or other things. But and I say that again. You know how much I've admired the passion on this and the vision. I just think it's run its course, and for me, and you know, this is nothing I had, earlier this year I said end of June, and I think and then it was, you know, one more thing, and then it was schools, and then it was potential of sports groups, and it just keeps moving, the goalposts keep moving, and so for me, this is a project that I think I'd rather refocus on something else at this point.
What about you guys? I know, but I'd like to have like some of your feedback. I mean, we're the most vocal. Go ahead.
I popped up once already.
I mean, like Brian said, it's a great idea, but if we don't have anything at this point, we have nothing solid, where are we going with it? Right? I mean, if we don't even have the land yet, I can't see going forward with this if we don't have the person saying, yes, I'm 100% certain you can have the land. That's the first step. No point even talking any further if you don't have that.
After 4 or 5 meetings with a potential landowner, we have a price for land. Right? And it would be what equates to that $15 million ballpark. 7.5 would be us.
Sharon, what are your thoughts?
I think I like that. I'd like, believe it or not, because I was against it, but I believe what the mayor says as far as having a hook here, having something where people would come to. And I don't know,
I mean, I think it's a great
I
idea.
don't want to see it.
We're not saying it's not a great idea.
Yeah, it
How
will
do
work.
we make it happen?
That's the
I guess
problem.
If I knew that, then it would.
Right, and that's where we're at.
And how much longer do
For
we
me, I
spend on
initially
this?
said that if we had that one big donor in naming, if that came in one fell swoop and not just metered out over 20 years, that would make some sense for me. But now to say that we basically have to eat the entire apple ourselves in the beginning and then just, that I think is too much municipally for us to take on. The optics of it are really bad too, because we're trying to solve one problem with something that we've been denying our residents for a long time. If we can solve that problem, I think the economic stuff, if we treat 159th Street properly after it's developed, I think that will fall in place and that can fall in place as far as helping to pay the bills and bring tax revenue and
The
things.
fear
of
with that,
nature.
though, is someone else is going to do it.
If they were
Sports
gonna do
complex?
it, we would have had known by now because nobody's interested in that.
And nobody has a land. You also have to look at the consensus is we drop it, so that's fine. Because this will give me part of my life back. So
But at
that's
least we
fine.
have something, if it comes back to surface again, at least we have something to go off of, a base.
No, you know what, I don't want to start and stop. I have been working on this for the last 2.5 years, and stop and think about it. Everyone wants something in the village, but we don't have the income that these other villages around us do have. We don't have a municipal tax.
But I'm a strong believer in 159th Street because I watched Route 30. I watched it happen.
And Route 30 also at the time, they were building a lot of houses.
And that's the thing, that's a whole nother discussion for
And I
why are we
think
not
that,
taking
I also think
More
that a sports complex like this is not necessarily the engine like Tinley's World was. That was the
And look
engine
at
that
that. That
drove
has
a lot of
been
the other
debunked
uses
so
of
many times.
hotels and the land around
But
there.
that's the same
This
thing
is not
for
the
this.
engine for that.
Why
This
would
is,
it be?
this
You
is the
have
ancillary use after those hotels are in.
You're wrong. The hotels would have to be here when we went out to Vegas and we talked to some of these people who had the hotels, they said they would not even consider building out here until we had a guarantee that we were putting up. Because first of all, forget the complex. There's a need for hotels.
Right, I don't think the hotel is the engine either, though. There's another engine that drives the hotels, that drives the sports complexes,
engine is-
that come in and feed off those
But
things.
the engine is the
That's
complex.
Yale's or things of that
Because
nature.
everyone's coming in from out of town. They're here for 4 days.
Mayor, do you want to maybe reconvene?
No, you know what, I'm done with it. I don't want to,
Because it was
here's the problem I have. Everyone, and Christine just said it again, we don't have land. We don't know if we have land, because we've never had a chance just to sit down with them and just tell them straight up what we're looking for. Never had the opportunity.
See, I
So,
thought we have.
no,
I feel that we have.
I don't think so at all. Because we beat around the bush, we did it with.
I disagree.
I think we did, but that's fine. And no spoiled apples. If you, 159th is going to bring something in, but if you look at almost any community that's had something, they have something that draws the people to them. We do not have it at all. We do not have it. And if we keep going the way it is before, and I said this 8 years ago, you don't start getting some of the things here, you're left with what nobody else wants. Well, they've got the concerts all the time, that's Baldwin does.
In the park.
Which is the park. All right, he's got it set up to where he's got all the parking, he's got everything for it. We don't have that.
But what's the economic driver that you're saying? Route 30 has been built after Route 30 was expanded. Like, they have the same number of population roundabout as we do, within 500 residents.
They also have the high schools there, which we don't. We still have just 205, which a lot of people had it in the back
I'm
of
talking
their
about the
heads.
economic driver. They don't have a project like this, and Route 30 has been a success over the last 10 years in development, and that's what I think 159 will be. And I think that process starts now, knowing that a year from right now, that road is going to be, for all intents and purposes, complete, minus some landscaping, or at least that's IDOT's schedule.
Well,
Right.
they said,
But the process of starting to identify those people starts now, not after the ribbon cutting on 159. And I think that process starts now, and I think that
well, that's fine. Like I said, if the consensus here is don't go any further, I'm not wasting my time. And I'm not gonna bring it back to life. You guys wanna bring it back to life after that, then you guys do it, and I'll be more than happy to help. So, we gotta get into the other meeting though. 7:04.
Motion to adjourn.
Some of, second.